everyone. My name is Laura Shippen, and I will call the meeting to order of the Select Board on November 19th, 2025 at 3:30 p.m. Roll call, please.
Veronica Kell present. Valerie Goodrich present.
Laura Shippen present. Would you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I would like to thank all of our veterans and all of our military currently serving here and abroad. Also would like to thank all of our emergency response individuals, as well as all of our elected and appointed officials. And I would also like to thank all of our staff, all of our employees, all of the people that help to make this community run, and their families. Appreciate everything that all of you do. 1.3, announce the meeting is being recorded and uploaded to YouTube. Is there anybody else recording?
Yes, there is.
Thank you, real deal. 1.4, chairman's additions or deletions, and I don't think there is anything. Some things, if there is, I didn't write it down. I don't remember. We'll probably come upon it. I see Irene. Are you on? Okay. If it's okay with the board, I would like to take the recycling item, which is 4.1 out of order, as Irene has a hard stop and she'd like to give us her input on that. Is that okay with the board?
Yep.
Hearing no objection. Irene, 4.1.
Yes, thank you for having me. So now I'm back to being Townsend's Recycling Committee Chair. Just got sworn in again today. Can you hear me?
Thank you for that.
Yep.
Yes, we can hear you, and I'm thanking you for that.
Okay. Townsend has had a biorecycle policy for a very long time, and Mass DEP is updating. A lot of our policies are from the 90s, and so we've had updated. The requirement for the grant is we need to update our hauler regulation, our biorecycle policy, and to actually change it to a sustainable purchasing policy. And so that this includes a lot of other stuff that we have in other departments, that it comes together, such as, so the draft is the town of Townsend recognizes that procurement decisions of our employees and our contractors have significant impacts on the environment. By including environmental, public health, waste reduction considerations in our purchasing decisions, along with price, performance, and the product availability, we can remain fiscally responsible while promoting practices that minimize waste and environmental impacts. The purpose of this document is to establish the framework for sustainability-based purchasing programs in the town of Townsend. Objective of the policy includes making purchasing decisions that minimize waste by prioritizing reuse, by identifying alternative options to new and single-use products. So that would be, we are part of Devon's. Devon's has the Great Exchange, which we should be looking for them before we buy new stuff. There might be really great stuff that's available at 80% off. So that could help all of us. Number 2 is supporting recycling markets by purchasing products made from post-consumer recycled content. And 3, conserve natural resources such as energy and water by buying products that are more efficient, and minimizing environmental impacts from pollution, greenhouse gases, toxics, and hazardous products, which we've talked about before, of reducing stuff that kills our rats. I know that is so harmful. We don't want it to kill the foxes that eat the rats. So we're already doing this in a lot of ways, but to have it in one document, and that it goes to say, how do we meet these goals is when we're doing purchasing to look through the state's operational service division, OSD, and they have a full guide, so you can use that for purchasing, prioritizing donation and reuse. And that we have the state surplus program as well, and adhere to federal comprehensive procurement guidelines for minimizing accepting levels of office paper and our products, and prioritizing products that will last longer, that are not just a one-time use. And so that this just commits everybody to look at these before they purchase something new. And like I said, this is just really an upgrade. We kind of had this in a different format, but then this includes more of reuse as well as toxic reduction and energy.
Thank you, Irene. Comments from the board?
This looks like a good policy to me. I think though that we need to look at the, incorporate it into our policy and get rid of the buy recycled, phase that out or rename it to a sustainable.
That's exactly what this is. This is taking the old one that you had, saying that one no longer is, you follow this one instead. You follow the new sustainable, because that encompasses buying recycled energy and water, as well as hazardous and looking at reuse before
More cookie.
purchasing.
Right. I
Bigger
think it's
picture.
great.
I like it.
I like it too.
Yeah.
And so I guess we just need to,
Update the policy.
and do a first reading at our next meeting.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm
sounds good to me.
agreeing. Thank you, Irene, for all the
Thanks,
information. We
Irene. Yeah.
appreciate it.
This is
No
great.
problem.
Okay,
Have
this
a
will
wonderful
be,
day. I just, on a separate note, can I just say that our recycling dividend program grant was given to the town, so that needs to be signed. And America Recycles Day was November 15th. So Townsend continues to do great things. So thank you for all your support.
you're welcome.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Thanks,
Irene.
Irene.
Thank you.
Okay,
Okay, so
thanks. Bye.
December.
And it replaces the current recycling policy.
For our first reading.
To replace the buy recycled
Yeah.
policy or whatever it's called. I don't know the official name.
It's called the,
Buy recycled policy.
no, it's the more.
Well, there's two policies that we have copies of here.
Yeah, I think those are-
218.
And then one is way back from 2000.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
Yeah.
2000.
Yeah, so I think this just replaces the
Those
recycled
two.
product. It replaces the recycled product procurement policy
And then
from 2018,
okay.
June.
So should we have Sabrina just put this in our format for the town and currently, and we'll have our first reading on December 2nd.
Okay, wait a second. I'm looking at this. There's a recycled product procurement policy. Is that different?
I think this is the
Or
policy.
is that just the attachment? That's the 2000 one.
There's the 2018 version also.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
replaced the 2001.
That replaced the 2000. Okay.
So this would
okay.
replace the 2018.
All right, I'm good.
And the 2000. Just catch up. Hi, Jim. Okay, so can we go back to 1.5 regarding the minutes for November 5th, 2025? Is there a motion?
I move that we review and approve, that we approve the meeting minutes for, let me start again. I, Valerie Goodrich, move to approve the meeting minutes for November 5th, 2025.
Veronica Kell, second.
Any discussion? I know we did edits already.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I saw mine are
That's good.
incorporated.
Yep.
Okay, roll call vote.
Veronica Kell, aye.
Valerie Goodrich, aye.
Laura Schifrin, aye. Thank you. Okay. We're gonna go down to 3.1. Is there a motion?
I move to appoint, Move to appoint Kim Greenow to the Community Preservation Committee effective 11/19/2025 until 6/30/2028.
Is there a second?
Veronica Cal second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Veronica Cal, aye.
Valerie Goodrich, aye.
Laura Schifrin, aye. Thank you. 3.2, is there a motion?
I, Valerie Goodrich, move to appoint Don Priest to the Commission on Disability effective 11/19/2025 until 6/30/2028.
Is there a second?
Veronica Cal second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, is there any discussion?
I have a concern,
Mhm.
that has to do with, things that I see as far as verbalizing things goes. I just have a concern about that as far as an appointment goes. That's all.
Thoughts?
None in this case.
Are you ready to vote?
Veronica Cal abstain.
Valerie Goodrich, aye.
I'm gonna vote aye. Laura Schifrin, aye. Thank you for your concerns, I understand them. 3.3,
I, Valerie Goodrich, move to appoint Jonathan Kinney to the Townsend Fire EMS Department as per diem firefighter paramedic with effective start date 12/1/2025, contingent upon successful completion of all employee requirements.
is there a second?
Veronica Cal second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Veronica Cal, aye.
Valerie Goodrich, aye.
Laura Schifrin, aye. Thank you. 3.4, is there a motion?
I, Valerie Goodrich, move to appoint Jason Borneman to the Townsend Fire EMS Department as per diem firefighter EMTB with effective start date 12/15/2025, contingent upon successful completion of all employee requirements.
Veronica Cal second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Veronica Cal, aye.
Valerie Goodrich, aye.
Laura Schifrin, aye. 3.5, is there a motion?
I, Valerie Goodrich, move to appoint Kefal Wells to the Townsend Fire EMS Department as full-time firefighter EMTB with effective start date 12/15/2025, contingent upon successful completion of all employee requirements.
Veronica Cal second.
Okay, discussion. Please note that this is to fill a vacancy.
Yep.
No additional, item to the budget. Okay, roll call vote.
Veronica Cal, aye.
Valerie Goodrich, aye.
Laura Schifrin, aye. Thank you to all of them. I know it's a difficult,
Welcome on board.
yes, welcome. 4.2. Selena, would you like to join us? You're here for that too? Join us.
Well, he also has cons coming. So,
It's all right, he can join us. Thank you guys for all that you do. You have the floor.
Okay, earlier last week, I think it was, I had sent a letter requesting an extension to the TESA lease. We are requesting a 50-year lease, which we understand would need to go to a town meeting in order for it to move ahead. Our reason for requesting the 50-year is I went and I looked at previous leases that the town has done through this manner. And recently there was a 50-year lease awarded for the Townsend Fire
Harbor and Old Central Fire Station.
to turn them into museums. So I based it on that 50-year lease.
Nelson? Come
No, I don't have anything to add.
I mean, I think it makes sense if you're gonna be doing field improvements and applying for grants and
Can I jump in there a minute? I went to the land and I am certainly agreeable with extending the lease
Yeah.
for TESA. But I went to the State Land and Water Conservation Grant Program, which is actually a combination of state and federal, on Monday, because that has opened and it's due in January, which is a little quick for this year, but I'm thinking about in watching that and looking at the pictures of a swimming pool with a cabana that was spent, and this grant gives between I think the minimum, I can't remember. It's either 50 and 100, or it's 500 and $1 million.
Yeah, I think it's, so Groton just was awarded
Mm-hmm.
a grant. I don't know if it's exactly that one or if it was similar, and that was $1 million.
Yeah, and it's a reimbursable grant, and you have to show that you have the funds and it's a 50% grant, meaning 50% reimbursable. So if you put in for 200,000, they will reimburse 100,000. But I'm looking at the picture of the pool and the cabana that was put in some town, and I'm thinking, why are we putting the improvements on TESA? Why isn't the town working with TESA to do the improvements so that it's town property, and then TESA has the 50-year lease to do the improvements as opposed to the other way? It was nothing that I ever thought about, and I was involved with the grant that they currently have, the one that's running out. And I guess my question for you guys is, what's the time frame on the improvements? When do you expect to have it? And I know the MISA permitting is huge because they're within a mile of an environmental justice community, which is
0.95 miles.
0.95. If you're within a mile, and this is of Atwood Acres, then
So
you're
it's a
permitting.
block of land that ends at Dudley and Barker Hill.
At
not.
Dudley, it's not.
It's not.
And
Atwood.
Barker Hill?
It's Dudley and
Barker
Barker
Hill.
Hill.
It's conservation
It's-
land.
That's where I live.
Yes, it's right at the bottom of the hill. So
Oh,
the
is it
field
the
across the
piece
street.
that was transferred to the town from the land trust?
Nope,
So it's a
it's-
census block that
Okay.
it goes to the corner of Barker.
Oh,
and
it's a
Dudley.
census block,
It's a
so
census
it's
But it's
not
Mass
the
Wildlife
actual-
land that,
Okay.
the
Yeah.
majority of this block is Mass Wildlife land.
Yes, that's true.
But it also encompasses
And they
part
have
of the
some.
center of town.
Part of the center of town, which is where and
Atwood
it
Acres
takes into the
Turnpike.
census from Turnpike and,
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that block includes the lower Turnpike apartments. It does not include the Turnpike apartments that are 72 Turnpike.
all right.
We
So,
can't make this up.
anyway, it's become very expensive for TESA to do the work. And if I know that by doing the 50-year lease, you will be able to apply for grants that are looking at things saying, you have a 3-year lease, yeah, we're not
Yeah,
investing.
right.
Right.
Right,
Um,
of course.
And so why isn't the town doing the improvements? Was there any particular reason for that?
The previous lease stated that any improvements were on the
But
That is-
I was involved with the writing of
that
that
is
lease,
the
which
why.
followed the lease prior.
Yeah. That is the why that we've,
And I think even before that, the
Taking it
original lease called for that as well.
It did.
Yeah.
Because we based what we wrote, 4 years ago or 3 years ago on that.
To backtrack to answer your question though, time frame, we have hired a environmental consultant for the visa and the NEPA filing.
Okay.
So we have agreed or signed a contract to continue with the permitting process. What was the time frame on that?
so, we've contacted, MISA or MIPA, or Natural.
Well, it's all three of them.
It's
Yeah.
the same,
They-
yeah.
It's all
The
three.
firm has contacted them to try and set a date to start the process. And they haven't gotten back to us yet with a date. But the idea was that we start the process in November and it will take approximately 4 months before we'll have those permits, just because there's public comment periods and other things that have to occur. So it would be March.
Yeah, it never, I was sitting in that meeting and it never occurred to me and I thought, oh, maybe we need a pivot here, but maybe not. Because the other thing about the grant is any work that has happened before the grant is granted cannot be reimbursed.
Mm.
You can't apply for monies that you've already spent, right? And you're already in process. So maybe the 50-year is what we do. And
I will say the monies that we've spent up until, the largest chunk is definitely going to be the actual build.
For the structure?
For the fields.
Yeah.
Do you want to just briefly explain for anybody listening what the intended improvement is?
Sure. So
Like the 5-minute overview version?
the elevator pitch.
Yeah.
Currently, there are 2 soccer fields that in between the 2 soccer fields, there is scrub natural land. The intent is to take a portion of that natural land and turn it into more
Playable surface.
And also to create more parking. At the existing parking, there's parking on one side. We are going to put parking on both sides. And then also near Mason Road, there is some unused space that we would put in an additional parking area there.
And an exit, a separate
Entrance.
entrance. Oh, that would be the entrance. And you
Yes.
go out there.
And then the other piece of it is we want to have a lightning structure at the fields. So in case of lightning, there is a place for people to get undercover. So that is the other portion.
It also allows us to have a snack shack there, and it will consolidate the in-town and travel programs together so that they are at one facility. So we have, we do have, I don't know how to say it, but we do have funding lined up for the lightning structure, tentatively. So we are moving in. We've fundraised close to $100,000 in 3 years, 4 years. So
if the town were to say that TESA didn't need to do all of this, that we would apply for the grants and then we could use the town would use the grant money to create the playing fields.
or even the parking, because the parking's,
Yeah.
That would be.
we planned on using reclaimed asphalt.
Mhm.
But that's a detail thing. We do have a loose itemized budget for the items, but
So-
yeah.
So
Because I
the-
think the main thing is that TESA cannot apply for that grant. It has to come from a municipality.
Um,
And you already have options on the grant process that you're looking into.
I think I'll let Selena answer, but let me just say, I think regardless of how we should do the 50-year lease, I think regardless of whether it's TESA that applies for the grants or the town that applies for some portion of, funding of the, and that needs to be discussed because it is a 50% reimbursement and the town has to show that they have all the funds ahead of time.
At town meeting, they have to vote on it.
And yes, it has to be voted at the town meeting, that's exactly right, but so does the 50-year lease.
Yes.
So I'm in favor of a 50-year lease, no matter how the things get funded for the improvements in the field. I think this is something that we could talk about, but it might affect the wording that goes into the lease. And as long as there's time to get that wording in place and get it to a town meeting for the 50-year vote for the new lease, and we can figure out how the funding goes, because it's with all the permitting costs, I don't know how much funds you guys have for improvement. And the,
We're working,
you know.
So that's Shirley.
it's gonna go quick.
And the roadway or whatever. We'll look back at that grant. But in any event.
But I know, so the grant that Broughton received was for Cow Pond Fields
Mhm,
for design and improvement.
mhm.
So, and that was $1 million, like I said.
Yeah,
Um,
so it must be the 500 to $1 million that you can receive. And is the town funding the other 50%, or is
I
the
believe
ball
so.
organization?
No, the town
The
is,
town is, and they have CPA money.
that too, and I didn't want to bring that up, but
Yeah.
there is the CPA that will.
That could help with.
Both.
Mhm.
I think the
Our side.
estimates for the first year is like 20,000 for our CPA
For what?
for year one.
Well, so the
That's
other
for
portion of
part of
this,
it.
Yeah.
is there is a time frame in which we are allowed to do any building. And it ends on March
Yeah, it's March.
15th, I believe.
Oh, because you have
Yeah,
to,
it's
Of
the
26?
Yeah,
Well, no,
Of
it's
every
every
year.
Every year.
Oh.
So from November to March is the allowable.
seems to get
Construction
foundations and everything in November, so then you can work. in
Yes and no. The
Relative.
expense that we've, you can have turtle management or habitat management plans in place that help work during time periods, with daily checks. So there are, I don't want to say workarounds, but there are ways to complete the work.
accommodate, yeah.
So then are we, I would like to, that we put this on the January or the next special time when we're certified for cash or whatever we do. The next.
Do we have time to work on a lease and meet with you guys to figure out what that lease is gonna look like?
So my question there would be, if we ask the townspeople to extend the lease, does the wording of the lease have to be completely done before that meeting?
Yes, they have to know everything that's in the contract they're voting for,
Okay,
because it's my take. You would have to put an amendment. If you end up amending the lease that the town voted for, you'd have to bring it back to the town, my thoughts.
because
But I-
in
It's
the,
like having a
Previous
public hearing and not
town
It
having
meeting.
depends on, whether we want to do, develop a lease for 50 years, or whether we want to approve the lease for 50 years.
You were looking into the other ones and they were.
it was just, the wording was, I have it, yeah. It was to.
Previous practice. Not to put you on the spot all of a sudden.
It's okay. So according to the town meeting minutes, the article to see if the town will vote to authorize the Board of Selectmen to enter into a new 50-year lease agreement with the Townsend.
So the
Fire
exact
Units.
wording does not have to be complete. It just has to be the intention to enter into a 50-year lease. They aren't voting on the exact.
Right, the exact
Exactly,
lease
they're
was
not
not
voting on the
presented
lease.
to the town meeting.
So then we can just go for that and.
I'm good with that.
Yeah.
And then work it out. One question, when is the current lease up?
Well, we just signed it.
Yes, so 2028. I believe.
2028.
September.
Okay.
2020.
So it would
September
be a
30th.
new lease, okay, yeah. All right,
And if it helps at all, the old firehouse 50-year lease was from May 7th, 2024, town meeting. It was Article 15,
special town meeting.
special town.
Article 14, I think that's the same, I think it's 14 and 15 for the two different buildings. So do we need a motion?
I make a motion that we, add a request for a 50-year lease for TESA to our next, special town meeting.
Veronica Cal second.
Thanks for the discussion.
Do you need me to repeat that with my name?
And I just heard your name in my mind.
I, Valerie Goodrich, move that we add a 50-year TASA lease to the next special town meeting.
And Veronica Cal again seconds.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Veronica Cal, aye.
Valerie Goodrich, aye.
Laura Schifrin, aye. Thank you very much.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
guys.
We have AI taking meeting minutes, so if we don't say our names, that's why. Sound repetitive.
I have one follow-up question, which is, do you know the date of the special town meeting yet?
It hasn't been considered yet, but we're thinking probably January is what it's looking like.
We want to be able to advertise it to,
To the town people who are part of TASA?
Mhm.
But yeah, once we
course.
have an idea of when it's gonna be, we can give you that information so you can start, getting support for it.
Yeah, and I get notices when meetings happen, so I'll just keep an eye out too. Thank you.
Thanks, Lynn.
Four point three, ratification. Is there a motion, ratification letter?
I, Valerie Goodrich, move to ratify the side letter with the police union for a detailed pay rate increase. We discussed this previously.
Veronica Cal second.
Okay, discussion?
We had a
I
large,
thought
we had a big discussion about, with the police chief here, about increasing the rate for, details in town, but, based on what I understand, we never actually ratified the letter. So that's why we need to,
Okay, because I thought I gave my permission for a stamp.
I think, there was some
We-
questions, so I think we just have to do it.
We just have to do it in.
Is there a motion then?
Do we have it here, or do you need me to give permission for a stamp? You have it? Okay.
I think that, I think it's just a vote to ratify the
Okay.
agreement,
Okay,
the MOU or the side letter, whatever.
Let me try that again. I, Valerie Goodrich, move to ratify the side letter with the police union for detailed pay rate.
Veronica Cal second.
any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Veronica Cal, aye.
Valerie Goodrich, aye.
Laura Schifrin, aye. Four point four, town meeting warrant articles, execution, follow-up, and records. I actually put this on here. Somehow, when I was in the, Guardian this week and the portal and whatnot, I saw a couple of things in reference to warrant articles. And, I was also, I asked Sabrina where the records were of warrant articles. Are they kept in the town clerk's office? Are they kept here? But what I'm meaning is that every meeting that the town holds has warrant articles on it that they approve. Where is the record to the action of those warrant articles?
Well, the town clerk keeps the minutes. Of the
Okay, of the
meeting.
meeting.
But you're talking about the actual,
Warrant and the actions themselves. Like, does a year go by before anything is done or checked on? Is it 2 years or 5 years, or do some things never happen? That's voted by the town.
I don't think there's a formal checklist, so to speak, or someone keeping track. Certainly the financial warrant articles, the town accountant looks at that and makes the appropriate adjustments, whether it's, creating a capital account or, appropriating free cash for a particular project.
And that goes to, as part of our reporting end of year, right? All those financial warrant articles. would-
Correct. Yep.
Yeah,
So,
the financial
yep,
reporting is.
so those are certainly, completed, by the town accountant. The ones that are not, financially related, it's like some sort of bylaw change that would go to the AG's office, and then we would get, several months after submittal,
Like
there.
the charter or the master plan and stuff like that.
Yeah, correct. mostly the bylaw stuff. The charter is a whole different sort of process that goes actually to the state and to the governor. What are the other type of warrant articles?
Something like the TESA lease would just be.
I mean, I'm just wondering if everything is under the select board office or the town administrator's office as to the actions taken and to make sure that they were taken.
Yeah.
How is the master plan, evolved? The town votes the master plan. It has certain things in the master plan. Is that all the planning board, or are there other parts of the master plan that are not left hanging, if you will?
I would think it would depend on what part too, like there might be something that was conservation or something, master plan, it could be any department, correct?
Well, I'm not sure if you're using master plan in the way that we're talking, there's the charter, there's bylaws and, policies. The master plan is, I think, a different document than maybe what you're referring to.
I just wanted to bring it up as a thought that I had,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and I don't know the answer.
Yeah, but like I said, I don't think there is a formal, here are the list of articles, and then, someone is, on a regular basis, checking off a box, they've been done, or this has been complete. Like I said, the financial ones, those are done annually, and those are, there's a checks and balances in regards to that, because the town accountant sees the annual and special town meeting warrant articles that were approved, and then they will make the necessary changes as to what the vote was. So, and then that's submitted to the state. That is definitely done. The other ones, again, I don't think there's a formal checklist that we've completed it.
I just think it's important to follow up.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's that hard, considering it can be, a process can be assumed right after the town meeting takes place. In other words, these were approved, what are the actions, what date were they done?
Yeah. And I will say this, for the most part, these warrant articles, there is either some department or body that has a vested interest in it, so it wouldn't, whatever was voted on, I think it would be in their best interest to follow up on it, because, they wanted that warrant article to be approved, so I think they certainly would follow up if no action was actually completed, because, again, they have a vested interest in it, if the highway department was, there was a capital article to, buy a dump truck, and for whatever reason, nothing was done, I would be hopeful that, that particular department would speak up and say, hey, where's my equipment that was voted on at town meeting?
And I'm not worried so much about the financial ones, because they want, they got their approval, they're gonna get whatever they wanted to go after and get. It's more the ones that are not financial.
Yeah, and like I said, even then, there's probably a particular board or committee or department that has a, vested interest in getting that action item, seen through,
Okay.
to have followed through, but.
I really don't wanna belabor it, kind of thing, we don't need to repeat.
I just want to bring up a few
Okay.
things. These are things that were in play when I was previously selectman. What's the status of the town's agreement with the school district for Spalding School? That was being negotiated, and apparently that negotiation never completed. It's this item that made me start bringing these, thinking, well, what happened with this? What happened with that? So apparently there's a side letter that there were two things with Spalding School. One was to allow rec to use it for summer programs, which was, they were using it, but it was very expensive, and every year there had to be a negotiation for, can they use it, can they not use it, blah, blah, blah. I believe there's a side letter now that rec has with the schools.
Correct.
But we were going to put that into the agreement with the schools. And going back through records, I found a letter from Nancy Haynes saying we'll get back to negotiating the lease. Do we know where our town lease is with the public schools, the regional school district? And what about the Tesa ball fields? That was also leased from the, not Tesa, sorry. That was all, thank you.
Yeah, someone brought up that also. might-
Yeah, we don't need to, but that was also, to be cut off so that they could have a lease for that separately from with the schools.
Mhm.
And I don't know what happened with that.
I actually did reach out to Nancy regarding it. You are correct, there is a side letter for the rec department using, the, school facilities. So that's in place, which is good. But the lease agreement for the softball, baseball, apparently that has not been finalized yet, and I don't have any historical insight into it.
When was it voted on? Long time ago?
Couple of years, maybe? Was it only a couple of years ago?
It was around the same time, and I have town meeting minutes up here from the website, that I'm going through. I haven't found them yet, but I seem to remember this.
I mean, would there be a process by which, just, not that you want the select board to have to do it, whereby, midway, in a less busy time of year, everything that was approved the year before, just a status update,
Yeah, I think we need something like that.
maybe in an annual calendar type of thing, if we ever.
Thank you for that.
Mhm.
I just feel like something kept telling me, follow up, okay? And I didn't feel that it was happening because we've had so many other distractions. And I appreciate the conversation. And Nelson, you'll look into whatever we might need to update. Let me go to 5.1.
I saw the fire.
Did you?
Yeah, I think you might have gone that way.
All right.
Research.
I didn't, so,
I can see if he's there.
sure.
Because
and
it is
then we can
4:12.
call.
Okay.
Thank you.
That's why I was going on to the next thing, because I didn't see him come in. But if that is the case, then, we are past the 4:10 time period. And I would like to go to 7.2. Executive session pursuant to open meeting law, chapter 30A, section 21A2, to conduct strategy session preparation for negotiations with non-union personnel or contract negotiations with non-union personnel, i.e. the fire chief. I, Laura Schifrin, make a motion to enter into executive session at 4:14 PM and adjourn from executive session pursuant to open meeting law, chapter 30A, section 21A2, to conduct strategy sessions in preparation for negotiations with non-union personnel and contract negotiations with non-union personnel, or fire chief.
Wait,
Yeah, I
I'm
think you said,
confused.
I think you misspoke, you mentioned adjournment.
I'll start again. Okay? I'll start again. Sorry.
Can I, before you start again, we are not adjourning from executive session. We
We
will
are
be
not.
coming
We
back
are
to
not.
open session.
I read the wrong one. Sorry. I, Laura Schifrin, make a motion to enter into executive session at 4:14 PM pursuant to open meeting law, chapter 30A, section 21A2, to conduct strategy sessions in preparation for negotiation with non-union personnel and contract negotiations with non-union personnel. Fire chief. Do I have a second?
Veronica Cal second.
Roll call vote.
Veronica Cal, aye.
Valerie Goodrich, aye.
Laura Schifrin, aye. We will be coming back from this executive session.
Into open session.
Hi, everyone. We are back. I am resuming our select board meeting, coming out of executive at 5:46 PM, November 19th, 2025. Roll call, please, to resume.
Veronica Cal present.
Valerie Goodrich, present.
Laura Schifrin here. We are on 5.1.
Can I just mention something? So we do have a 6 o'clock
Yes,
joint meeting, which we'll have to get through, and then we'll have to, so I think a lot of the items we will have to skip. So we have to be mindful of the time, and then we also have to
I'll work
adjourn.
it out.
We have to adjourn into executive session. And I think we'll have to wrap things up about 6:45 so that the next meeting at 7 can, they can start prepping for that meeting.
The next meeting in this room is at 7.
Yes.
Okay,
So I
thank you.
think at 6:45 is a hard stop for us. So
Oh.
just something
All
to
right.
keep in mind.
Okay, we'll try to address each one as quickly as we can. 5.1, first reading of the town council policy, legal policy.
Policy number 7, 2025, a revised policy 4, 2018 by the Select Board. The purpose, the Select Board and Town Administrator agreed to establish a consistent process for use of legal counsel. Policy, Town Council, policy use of legal counsel. A request for legal services form must be filled out and returned to the Select Board's office before the use of legal counsel can be utilized. This process is necessary in order to track expenses and for budgeting purposes. Authorization must be obtained from the town administrator and/or their designee before town council can be accessed. All boards and commissions other than the Select Board must have a vote authorizing the request before authorization is provided. It is preferred for town council services to be virtual or via phone call. The sole exceptions to this rule are for the Select Board and are as follows. Number 1, the chair of the Select Board or the Select Board through a majority vote shall have direct access to request town council to attend a meeting of the Select Board. Any member seeking legal advice on a matter shall have direct access to town council. Number 2, any Select Board member seeking legal advice on a matter shall have direct access to the council. It seems like a repeat. All members of the
It
Select
does.
Board.
No, it's not.
Oh,
The
it is.
first one is to attend the meeting.
Ah,
Okay,
gotcha.
right.
Yes,
Very
okay,
good.
sorry.
Just
Very
general.
good.
And I'm reading. Number 3, all members of the Select Board requesting ethics opinions, conflict of interest law, shall have direct access to town council. They do not need to copy the chair of the Select Board on such inquiries, and town council shall respond to the member directly without copies to other members of the Select Board. Number 4, members of the Select Board shall notify the town administrator of each contact for budget purposes. However, they are not required to explain the content.
Discussion? I think everything is there. Move to second reading on December 2nd.
Yes. I don't think we need a motion.
We don't need a
for that.
motion though, right? To just move it to the next agenda for
No.
second reading.
I don't
Yeah.
think so.
Okay. 5.2, review and discuss report restructuring of departments. Nelson?
So, the Select Board had tasked me with taking a look at potentially restructuring or the creation of a Department of Public Works. I have included a report that I've completed for the Select Board. I think at the time, at the moment, after reviewing the DLS report that was created back in January of 2016 and talking to highway facilities, cemetery and parks, and, the recycling center or health departments, I don't think creating a Department of Public Works is, that's not my recommendation at the moment. And some of the biggest reasons is I don't see actually a lot of savings involved. And the reason for that is a lot of these departments, either one staff member and maybe some fractional part-time help. There's not a ton of full-time employees, in each of these departments. So, if you were to create a new Department of Public Works, you would either have to elevate a current department head into that role, which would mean probably a bump in their salary, or if you were to hire someone external, that would mean an increase in headcount, which means an increase in expenses. So I think either option, you're not going to see any savings in that regards. I know another consideration was, sharing of manpower and resources, which honestly is something that all those departments I mentioned earlier already do to a pretty big extent. Like I said, most of these departments have very limited staff anyways, so whenever there's
Actually, I have some notes on there.
whenever there's a need for additional personnel or manpower, departments calling each other to backfill the need. So I think, given how lean all of our departments are, I just don't see any cost savings a Public Works department would actually save.
Okay, I respect the fact that right now, today, is not, implementing this today is not the idea. The idea is to look at the structure overall. I could see where you have someone at the DPW town engineer, DPW supervisor, or whatever you want to call it. The TA would be that person now, which you are effectively. And then an administrative assistant, one, full-time for all the departments. Each of the departments has a department head, as they do now. And then a pool of people who are your temporary people now, but might not be in the future, and who are vetted by each of the departments. So they have what they need to do what the Cemetery and Parks Department have. They have whatever licensing or certifications they need to do what the Highway Department needs. They need, water I kind of set on the outside. I don't know how water fits, but what I really wanted, at least me, and my goal on this, was to have a new structure, and I still want that. I don't want it implemented today, but I want to know the timeline for implementation. I think for all those temporary folks, whatever their job description is, I can see rewriting that job description as a single job description that allows people to work in each of the departments, including the recycling center, because I know that sometimes Cemetery and Parks has to send people over there to do whatever heavy equipment operation needs to happen because there isn't someone over there who can do it, and it needs to be done. But I would like to see that as a something that's put in place with a timeline for, so what do we need to do to make this happen?
Like no hiring or firing right now.
No, exactly. But as attrition goes, how do you move into that structure? And I do think that it can provide cost savings over time. Maybe not for FY27, but for me, that wasn't the goal. And if we need someone, if we need to hire or get a project going with the Collins Center or somewhere to build that structure, I would like to have that done. It's been talked about for 10 years. And it's never happened because no one's ever done it, because no one's ever done it, because you have to do it, I suppose.
Well, you know, again, to one of my original
So I don't
points,
disagree with the written point,
Yeah.
but
I just think, given how lean each department that we're looking to fold into a public works, department, you know, it's, you know, when you're consolidating, you're basically consolidating, what's the word, you know, I don't want to call it fat, but it's like redundancies, and there, you know,
For
these.
the higher salaries more than the lower, so you get more employees on the lower level than in the higher level. Actual workers versus the.
I'm even
oversight.
thinking things like, you know, you have facilities projects that are winter-based, painting, interior stuff, and is there a potential for actually getting people that have more hours throughout the year if they're parks and cemeteries and more temporary summer help? Are there chances that, and then you get in a position where you're more likely to retain people if you can offer them? Or I know that, you know, the highway superintendent would like to not have to hire plow contractors, right? Like Pepperell does.
Right. Well,
Just thoughts.
yeah, but, you know, part of my report did say that a current area that we probably could realize some savings is in the snow and ice operations. You know, currently, the highway department are the only ones sending out trucks with plows. But we actually do have other pieces of equipment that could do that. That's currently not being utilized.
Definitely should be doing
So,
that.
you know, I think,
At parks and cemeteries?
yeah, Parks and Cemetery, I think, has at least one, maybe even two. You know, the water department, I believe, might have another piece. So those are the areas that I can talk to these department heads to see, you know, how we can alleviate the manpower shortage that the highway currently has to deal with snow and ice operations.
Definitely.
You know,
well, that's for now, and we may need to rewrite job descriptions if we're gonna have water people plowing, or we're gonna have,
Parks and cemetery.
I mean, I think there's more to it
well,
than,
we were thinking initially it would be voluntary, so, you know, it would, you would either do it as overtime, which may, there might not be as many restrictions in terms of having to rewrite job descriptions, since it's voluntary, and also, you know, overtime. It's not
Can
like
you do
hard.
that as?
Voluntary?
As union?
Well, if you're, but more like if you're already plowing the cemetery, right? Can you go and plow town hall and the library and
Well, I was thinking, you know.
along those lines of, you know, it's something that's already, someone's doing it.
Yeah.
I think that maybe it's that kind of.
Well, yeah, I was thinking the municipal parking lots would be one area that we can have other town
then there
staff.
needs to be a side letter. Because otherwise someone can grieve that they're made to do something that isn't in their job description.
So those are written by.
I think we could, I don't know, I at least would like to see a long-term, what needs to be changed for this I would like to see it happen. And I would like, I understand today not doing it for, I mean, I just want a plan, because I think in the long term, there needs to be a plan. And it's not just gonna be, you're gonna run with 3 people short, you know, or 2 people short, and the roads aren't gonna get plowed. Because we have, well, we're gonna have our meeting, but we have a deficit every year. And we are not a town that is gonna vote for an override historically. And so if that's the case, something has to be done to alleviate this. We are already bare bones as far as expenses go. I just don't, I think more thought
Thank you.
needs to go into how it's gonna.
We are at 6:00, and I'll call the joint meeting portion of this meeting with the finance committee on November 19th, 2025 at 6 PM for our notice. Roll call vote. Excuse me, forget the vote. Roll call announcement.
We're opening the meeting.
We are opening the joint meeting.
Veronica Cal present.
Valerie Goodrich present.
Laura Schifrin present. Finance, would you like to approach?
We can.
Nelson, are you gonna put stuff up
You guys wanna move
there?
down a little bit? Maybe they can move,
Excuse me?
Are you gonna put stuff up there so I can make
so
space?
they
there?
can move. Don, so nice to see you.
Thank
Been a while.
It has.
Where am I going to now?
All the information is in a different place.
Nelson, I'll let you lead.
Well, call the finance committee to order at 6:01 PM. Roll call attendance, please.
Carolyn Bezick is here.
Carol Hoff is here.
Kathleen Spofford here.
Mary Jane Churchville here.
The present, with that, we have 5 members, we have a quorum, we are good to continue. Was the other meeting started with the question about recording, or do we need to? Okay, then we're good there. And we can move on to the agenda. The joint meeting with Selectboard and the finance team.
So I think there are 3 main components of tonight's meeting. ClearGov will be joining us momentarily for about a 15-minute, 20-minute presentation on sort of the budgeting software that ClearGov can provide to the town. We're talking about some budgeting documents, for the upcoming fiscal year, and sort of sharing the financial outlook for FY27 and beyond. And I do have our town assessor here, our town accountant online, and our town treasurer collector is also online joining us. If there's any particular questions, sort of in their, arena, so to speak. I do see here that ClearGov, Tyler Shepard is the representative from ClearGov. TCAM, are you able to give Tyler Shepard sharing privileges this evening?
Yes, I can.
Thank you. So why don't we start off the joint meeting with a 15-20 minute presentation from Tyler Shepard from ClearGov.
Perfect. Thank you, Nelson. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for letting me join. Let me see if I'm able to share here. Okay. Let's see if this works. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Perfect. Again, thank you all for joining. I really appreciate it. I'm Tyler with actually, good idea for this. I'll go through a quick overview of who we are and what we do. I'll get into a live demo of our software. If anybody has any questions at all, please jump in and ask. If you have any follow-up questions, you can always ask me. I've been working with Nelson over the past few months as well, so you can certainly use him as a resource. I certainly like to start with our mission. So we create easy-to-use software to help governments budget better pretty straightforward, but that's built into everything that we do. That's actually exactly what our co-founders set out to do almost about a decade ago. So we've been out around for a little over 10 years. We're actually located in Massachusetts. We have our HQ in Maynard. We currently have about 79 counties and cities we work with in the state of Massachusetts. Right before I got on this call, I looked up how many other customers are in the surrounding states. It looked like it was 256 to be exact. And then we have just over about 1,400 total customers in the United States. So that does make us the biggest public sector budget cycle management company within the United States as well. A couple other things to note. We've built our platform based around the GFOA best practices. We're endorsed by the National Association of Counties. And we, in fact, have a lot of former finance directors that we've hired here and brought them in on our staff. So if you were to work with us, you'd also be working with a lot of other finance directors from other cities and counties as well. In terms of what we actually offer, so we have 8 different modules. They all integrate and they all work together. That's the beauty of having, this modular solution that we have. Our customers can choose, what they need and only that. If they need to add something more into the future, or if things change internally, they can always remove modules as well. So that's why we have this kind of modular system. Everybody's a little bit different in how they work and what their needs are. Today, Nelson and I discussed, we're going to walk through the personnel and the operational budgeting modules and then quickly go through our digital budget book module as well. After this call, I'm going to be providing everybody with a really short demo video of each of our modules. So if there's anything that you'd like to look at today that you see on the screen that's not personnel. Oh, you know what? I don't even think I clicked through this. I apologize. If there's anything that you don't see that's aside from personnel and operational and then the digital budget book. So any of these other modules, I'll certainly provide you with a short demo. All right, so jumping in, we're going to start with the personnel budgeting demo. This is our dashboard. A lot of great information on this dashboard. I'm actually going to come back to this here in about 3 minutes because everything's really driven by the data model manager. So this is when a customer signs up with us. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to set up the data model manager, right? So we're looking at everything broken down by unit right now. So community development, community services, public safety, so on and so forth. And you can dive into the wage schedules. You can look at the additional pay. You can look at the benefits. I'm just going to kind of walk you through these other sections. So wage schedules, you can look into, for instance, like the public works salaries or any of these other units. Additional pay. So you can put in things like holiday pay or vehicle allowances, a lot of times for public safety, cell phone allowances. And then you build out the benefits as well. So on the back end, I don't want to walk through all of those, but they look very similar, right? So you're going to assign to these different units, and you have options to build out what each section looks like. So for benefits, obviously, there's usually going to be different options. So you can build those out as needed. You can always add options in as well. After you have your data model manager mapped and correctly built out, we're going to want to import all of the positions, so all of your people. We can do that with a bulk upload and assign all those people to different positions. So on the back end, once that's done, so you work with our data team to get that uploaded. And once that's complete, as you dive into each position, this is what you're going to see on the back end. So at the very hot, at the top, from a high level, you're going to see the total blended compensation. You're going to see what positions they have as well. So they can have more than one positions. We can also do personnel budgets by employee budgeting or position budgeting. So whichever way you do it, we have a different configuration of how you can set that up. Obviously, you're going to see the information like their names and the position IDs. We can have different steps and grades as well. As I scroll down more, we're going to see budget classifications, position details, and this is where you see their benefits, additional pays, all associated with the person. So just to kind of recap, we set up the data model manager, we applied everything to our people, and now there's a couple other options. All right, you can go ahead and build out your scenarios in terms of plan, or how are we going to make these decisions with our personnel budget, or you could also include other people to make requests. So within our request manager system, you can add different departments, to different department heads that can make different requests. You can have them make requests over a 1-year period, a 5-year period, 10-year periods, however long you want to look out. And then we also have a scenario builder. So you could build out multiple scenarios. So right here, for example, we have a negotiation scenario, proposed, and baseline. So for instance, if we were in some sort of negotiation scenario, and we were just looking at let's say the public safety department, we could look at making a permanent adjustment or maybe a one-time adjustment. Maybe we're going to look at for the year of 2026 for their wages, we're going to make a 3% increase. And then dynamically, you're going to see throughout the system how that impacts 2026. And then 2027, 2028, 2029, so on and so forth, right? So think of this as like the digital sandbox instead of flipping back and forth between different spreadsheets and trying to figure out, what type of decisions we can make. We have it all in one system within our scenario builder. We have an audit trail of everything that happens along the way too. So people that make requests or approve anything or make any changes, you can refer back to that. And then from like a review perspective, we create this nice, easy, little dashboard that everybody can use. So from high level, you can select what scenario you want to look at and which year you want to look at. You could break this down further by unit or fund type. And then you're going to see the high level information across the top. And then as you go down, you'll see the personnel costs. And then it's broken down by unit, fund type, and fund. You can see vacancies filled, future new hires, and then those accepted new position requests as well. And of course, if you're looking, just like this says, if you're looking for more detailed information, we do have a reports builder. So you can build out some pretty detailed and custom reports as well. Those are all exportable. So if you needed to get any information back into your ERP system, a lot of our customers use that as well. Jumping into operational budgeting. So obviously the personnel budget is part of that operational budgeting. These modules do connect. So you could pull your personnel budgeting scenario directly into the operational budgeting module. Once you do that, there's a couple different options of how you see things from a dashboard perspective. So right now, we're looking at the fiscal year 2026 budget, and you can see it broken down by revenues and expenditures. And if you drop down further, you can see this broken down by fund. And then we have these different columns on the dashboard. You can configure these columns. You could group by specific columns as well if you needed to. So you can kind of create that dashboard view that you're all used to. Or if you're having a specific meeting and want to focus in on something, you can certainly do that. How this works. So from a collaboration perspective, we have editors. Think of those as like your administrators, the people that are going to be making the actual decisions. The contributors, those are folks that are going to be, submitting information, right? So you can assign them to submit a budget, and then you can, as you invite them, you could, determine, are they able to add new accounts or new itemizations, or maybe they're a department head that have people under them and they want to add some other people as collaborators as well. So there's a lot of different options when you add those contributors. You can also add people as reviewers. So if you just want somebody to be able to come in here and view the budget as it stands, or specific requests, you could certainly do that. From a contributor's perspective, actually, let's go back here. I'm going to go back and I'm going to show you just how this kind of works. When we add a contributor here, oh, looks like somebody's jumping in. The thing you're going to do when you add a collaborator is you're going to assign them an account or set of accounts, right? So for example, and you saw me just group a column up. So there's options to kind of organize this as you see fit. So let's say we want to assign the police department to somebody in here. So it was going to be Brian Burdick. And you want them to be able to submit the budget, add new accounts, and then you can add these different options essentially for what you want them to be able to do or what you want them to be able to view. Once you add them, they're going to get an email that's going to prompt them to create a username if they haven't already. And then what we do as a company is we set up a online training for any department heads that you want to have included. And once they get that email, they're going to understand how to log in. Once they essentially are assigned their accounts, how do they view those accounts and how do they make the requests? Once they submit those requests, it's going to go to obviously that administrator or whoever's going to be reviewing and accepting, rejecting, or making the final edits. And then once you make those edits, you can view everything on the dashboard view as well. From a, let's see, digital budget book perspective, I guess we'll just go back right here. So digital budget book is going to do a few things. Obviously, once you're done with your budgeting process, we want to bring that into the digital budget book. Think of this as your tool to build your digital budget book based off of GFOA standards, and this is how you're going to display your budget. There is a couple different options. You can bring in your budget from your ERP system if you're not using our budgeting modules. If you are using our budgeting modules, obviously it's just a click of a button and everything imports. The way that this works when you create a digital budget book, when you create a new one, you're going to go through a process of kind of adding your operating budget. You could add a capital budget as well. And then you can create essentially it's going to give you some functionality to create what type of budget book you want based off of a specific template, right? So for you all, it would be that GFOA template that we have. So if I go into, let's just look into this sample budget book. It's going to take you to essentially this digital budget book that you can go ahead and edit as you see fit. So it's going to create, once we have all the data on the back end, it's going to create all of the budget information in terms of like fund summaries. You can see general funds. It's going to have department summaries, capital funds. As I dive into this, so let's just show an example. Let me see. Yeah, there we go. So if we're looking at this expenditure summary from the Public Works Department, our system's going to automatically generate these interactive charts and graphs. Within these charts and graphs, you have a lot of options, right? If you don't want this, you can hide it. We have AI built in that's going to help you generate narratives. So it actually reads the data and it'll generate a narrative that you can then obviously edit as you fit. So the speed of finishing your budget book to getting to that finished published budget book is a lot faster with our digital budget book tool. It's very easy to add different sections and different blocks as well. So for instance, if you wanted to add a block, you could add it like this. And then what you can do is insert a chart or a spreadsheet. You can upload a photo, add a timeline or text, and then obviously edit as you see fit. So just as you use Microsoft Word or Google Docs, it has the exact same functionality in building this out. We can also bring in collaborators. So if you wanted somebody to edit a certain section or a subsection within your digital budget book, you can absolutely assign that to them. We also have a GFOA checklist built in as well. So if that is something, an award that you eventually would like to go after, we're going to give you a checklist of everything you need to do, and you can keep track with notes as you go down the list. In terms of an example of what a finished digital budget book looks like, I just pulled this from a customer of ours in Pennsylvania. Once it's published, absolutely, we can still pull it via PDF, and this is a published version online, so anybody in the community can pull this as well. But we have these different sections. So instead of scrolling through, 100 pages and trying to find different sections, you can, go through the budget book in a more intuitive way and find what you're looking for. Just like the charts and graphs on the back end, they're all interactive. So people can kind of see the things that they want to see, interact the way that they want to interact, hover over different charts and graphs and get kind of like that more granular information they might be looking for. So that'll conclude the summary of all three of those. So Nelson, I don't know if you want to open it up for questions or if you want me to cut off, I'll leave it up to you.
Yeah, I think we have the select board and the finance committee here tonight, so, I think if they had any questions, it'd be a great time to, ask them directly to ClearGov. Not that we couldn't do it afterwards, but certainly, it's a live interactive session, so if there's any questions or anything they want to look at further.
Sure.
Is this only for expenditures and not income? Or does it capture the income?
Revenue? Yeah, there's revenue.
There's revenue on
correct.
it? Okay.
Yep.
So how much does it cost?
That's the big question, is it?
I guess.
Depends on the modules. Yeah, so it depends on the modules. Each module there is a cost to it. I've had Tyler prepare sort of two versions at the moment. One version is just the operating and the personnel. And then the other version is operating the personnel and the digital budget book that you see in front of you. There's also a fourth one that I think we can probably forego at the moment, but we can certainly consider it. It's the capital budgeting one. Given we're such a small town, we don't really have a very large capital budget, over the next 5 years. So I think that's something we can probably just do in-house, with Excel. We can certainly explore adding it to the package, but I think for the time being, to save on money, we can probably skip the capital budgeting module for now. At least that's my kind of recommendation, to save on money.
So how much is it?
Thank you.
You want me to go through that, Nelson?
Sure.
Okay. So thank you for asking that question. Just to let you know how our pricing works, we have an onboarding like setup fee. Obviously, there's an implementation process. Usually lasts about 4 to 6 weeks, so we are pretty quick in getting everybody up and running. We also have an annual subscription, noting that working with Nelson, if you would potentially start on January 1, noting that your fiscal year ends in June, we offer prorated pricing. So if we were looking at, and actually before I go there, the last consideration I'll say is we do have bundle pricing. So if we just did 2 modules, it would be a 15% bundle discount. With the 3 modules, it would be 20%. So just throwing that out there, that's why these numbers are actually not too far away from each other. So if we were looking for at the operational and personnel budgeting modules from January 1 through the end of June, the cost would be $9,685. So that's the prorated cost for 6 months. The full subscription is $19,370. What that prorated cost allows you to do is essentially sign up for 6 months. And then just like every other customer that we have, they have the option to cancel at the end of each term. So the prorated term is 6 months, and then after that, it's just a year to follow. So if you wanted to cancel at the end of each year after that, you'd have the chance to do that. So that's the pricing for those. If we were looking at,
So I have a question.
sure.
What's the 9,600 include? Is that the setup, the implementation, the subscription, the bundle? I mean, what do you get for the 9,000 for 6 months?
Yep, that's going to handle everything from your subscription perspective. The one-time setup fee is $7,650, and we decided we could push that to July 1. So if you didn't renew with us after those 6 months, we obviously aren't going to bill you for it, but we would push that cost out a little bit. Almost gives you kind of like a 6-month trial, if you will.
So the 9,600 does not include the setup fee of 7,650, correct?
That's right. That's right.
Okay.
But you will set us up anyway.
That's right. We're just pushing the cost out to make sure that
Okay, what's that
you're
mean?
happy with us.
Yeah, what
You
does
could
that
set
mean?
up without price for this year, and then we would pay that for fee.
No, I understand that
For the
part. I'm
next
asking
year,
what the
yeah.
setup is. Is it, does it have to be all manual, or can stuff be uploaded from what's already existing in our systems, or do we have to start from scratch and put everything in?
I was gonna say, that's pretty much, the question is, how does the data have to be formatted for the load? It's kind of like, how's it come out of, say, Vadar,
Right,
Vader?
whatever we have, so, yeah.
And it's kind of like, and get into this. It's kind
Yeah,
of like,
because I think that's critical, because, does everybody have people to do it?
Mhm.
Consideration.
Well, that's the accounting team and.
Yeah, with
Oh, they have
enter
enough
from the
people to do
budget.
this, okay,
I mean,
okay,
but we could upload it. That would be way quicker.
wouldn't it?
well, it is, but we have to.
Yeah, but can we? It's a
kind of like-
question.
And validation of after an upload, how do you?
Tyler, can
validate
you?
you've got in the
That you
system what
did it correctly.
Right, it's kind of like, do we have what we want today and what we have today and what it looks like? So that when it's voted, you can confirm that you're seeing the same thing.
But can you do that? Can you do the upload regardless of the information is right or wrong? Tyler?
Well, I'm sorry, what's the question?
Yeah, can we upload from our existing system, or do we have to do all the data entry manually?
Oh, no. It's a data upload. So you would work with our data team for about 2 weeks. That's really the first step in the onboarding process. Like I said earlier, those finance directors that we've hired, that's pretty much our whole data team. So you'd be working with finance directors from cities and counties. They're going to help you do a couple things. They're going to help you map the data and map your accounts properly in our system. And they're going to make sure that the exports that you're pulling out of your ERP are mapping correctly into our system. And then we'll also create specialized reports to make sure if you need to push any data back into your ERP, that we map those reports for you as well.
And that's included as the setup fee that we're not gonna pay for 6 months, correct?
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Just, no surprise.
Does it have the ability to create custom fields if there's a field in our ERP that we want to export and see into the ClearGov?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. So you can build custom custom fields within the budgeting modules and do exactly what you just described there as well. Yep.
Hi.
So-
Okay.
Go ahead.
Oh, it's Melissa Dunnett, the treasurer collector. Hi.
Hi.
So can you upload documents, for example, like payroll documents or budget documents, for example, each GL account number, the description might be office supplies, and I might want to put in a description of what is being charged to that expense line. So two questions. Can you upload documents, for example, backup to budget requests? Okay.
You can. That's
And
correct.
there's a space to write notes next to a budget line item.
Yep, exactly.
Okay.
And within the system, there's collaboration functionality, so you can leave comments, notes, attachments. You can add people to any requests as well, and as collaborators.
Okay. Is this in the cloud?
Yes, it's in the cloud.
Just checking. And in downloading data, can it be downloaded to Excel easily? Or do we have to just create a new report?
I guess define easily. I would say yes. I would say yes, but I'm not sure what you're looking for.
So sometimes I'm really familiar with Excel, so I like to download things into Excel.
Yep.
Get rid of things. It might be easier, quicker for me than doing it within the system itself. So like a click that says download to Excel, download to PDF sort of thing.
Right. And let me just clarify,
You might want to upload it back into, Harper's, which is our payroll system.
Gotcha. Right. Heard of that
Two-way
before. I know we have a number of clients using that as well.
Yeah.
What would you specifically be looking to export? Are you talking about the entire budget?
Me personally, treasurer collector, payroll information, maybe.
Got it. Yeah, absolutely. I might show you real quick. Probably be easier too. So within the personnel budget, let's just go into this one, our report builder, and I can send you a list of these. So you can go in and create a custom report. But we have all of these 6, pretty basic but very detailed reports that you can automatically pull. And so in terms of ease of pulling this, export, and you Excel, CSV, whatever you want to put it in, and then it pulls. So that's
I might want to send it to someone as an attachment.
Yep.
Yeah. You know what I mean? So I'm assuming that's a popular feature if you wanted to. Okay. That's it for me. Thank you. Thank you, Kyle.
Of course. If you have any other questions, Melissa, you can reach out.
Tyler, I think we're getting towards the end of our allotment, so maybe we'll have time for one question, and then we can.
Yeah, hi Tyler, Callie Huff. I'm just wondering, can you program recurring or even escalating projections into it from year to year into the scenario builder?
Are you talking about the personnel budget or the operational budget?
Well, I had a different question about the operational budget, but either one.
Yes, you can. There's a couple different ways to do it. We have steps where you can set up different steps and progressions. But in the scenario tool, you can absolutely set up different progressions and different rule sets as you need to.
And then can I push my luck and ask another question? Since you mentioned the operational budget. And John had asked about customizing fields, but can you customize the actual columns in the module? Like, can you add a column?
In what view?
In the operational budget.
In like a report, or what would we be looking at?
When you were back in the beginning, when you were showing, you went from personnel to the operational segment. Yeah, in here, can you add columns?
Yeah, you can add columns, so you can see these are pinned here. So if you need to add additional columns, you certainly can. And these also are filterable as well. So if you wanted to come in here, say, filter from high to low, or only look at a specific fund, you have some capabilities, and you can sort from high to low in here as well. So you can kind of You can kind of customize whatever view you're trying to get to.
And I know you showed us some reports, static reports, but it has a report builder, right?
Yep.
Or pay for those individually?
Yep. Our reports in operational are a little more built out as well. So you can see these standard reports, but we also group it by ERP reports and then any custom reports as well. So when you choose a custom report, you have a description, you can choose a template, and then you can, after you choose that template, you can bring in additional fields of data or take out additional fields of data as well.
Okay.
Thank you, Tyler. I'll work with you offline. I think you mentioned there was like mini videos that dives a little bit deeper into each module. So if you share that with me, I'll share it with the Finance Committee and Select Board, and that way they can sort of take a look at it, when they have additional time.
Sure.
If anybody has questions, they can send them to Nelson, and Nelson will get that to Tyler.
Yep. Thank you so much for your time tonight, Tyler.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you, you too. Take care.
Hard stuff.
Yeah, so the Select Board does have a hard stop about 6:45, 6:50 at the latest, because there's another meeting here, Conservation Commission. So I'll.
Is that it for us?
No.
Melissa.
Yeah. Melissa.
Because she was last talking.
Yeah. So I'll go over sort of what I have projected as our long-term financial outlook. Certainly FY27 is sort of at the forefront at the moment. With the assessor, the treasurer collector, and the accountant, where their pieces fit into play is, with the treasurer collector, we have the sort of the long-term debt schedule in place, the retirement, the Middlesex County retirement contribution that we annually put in. For the assessors, we have sort of the new growth and some of the overlay figures in play, and then with the town accountant's office, we have sort of the local receipts and what kind of trend we're seeing in that arena. So when you kind of put everything together, I've kind of come up with a very preliminary 5-year outlook for the town. I'll share that screen with everyone at the moment so we can just take a look at it. It got bigger. So I just want to caveat by saying these are just very preliminary figures. Any slight change to the budget can, really change how things look like. 1 second. Two computers at the same time. Let's see here. So on the right-hand side, those are kind of my assumptions at the moment. And again, this is subject to change, but I'm just doing some sensitivity analysis in terms of what those percentage changes will do to the budget. I'm assuming a 3% increase to the general fund, 3% increase to the school budget, 3% increase to the tech school assessment. The overlay, I'm projecting about a 4% increase, and that's mainly due to sort of that CPI that we put into play. But again, all these percentages are dynamic. I can change them as needed. The cherry sheet offsets and the state assessments, that's at 2%. Cherry sheet receipt, which is state aid, that's really been at 2%, pretty consistently. Enterprise indirect cost, that's the water. That's, I'm assuming a 4% increase. Local receipts, that's local revenue. It can be anywhere from excise tax to meal taxes to, building inspection fees. I'm expecting, I'm just putting in 3% at the moment. Let's see. The other revenues like ambulance receipts, money from Title V and the reading room, I've kind of kept static at the moment. One area that also might go up is solid waste, the enterprise fund that we've set up. So when you kind of look at everything as a whole, with those assumptions, starting at FY27, I'm expecting a $272,000 shortfall, and then it increases year after year because the deficits basically follow each other year after year. Now, these are very conservative projections. If you recall, I was projecting the school budget to increase by 3%. I honestly don't think it's going to be at 3%. Just as a quick math, it's at 3% now. If I increased it by just 1%, that increases the deficit by about $150,000. So every percentage point on the school budget, for example, will increase that bottom line deficit by about $150,000. We have seen, the school budgets come in at roughly 5 or 6%. So I think that number, a $272,000 deficit can quickly balloon upwards of $500,000 pretty quickly.
And income will not.
Correct. That's the issue that Townsend is facing, and frankly, most cities and towns are facing. State aid is kind of static at about 2%. We're not a community that experiences a lot of growth, because there's not a lot of new houses being built, not a lot of new neighborhoods or developments being built.
Or businesses coming in either.
Correct. So yeah, we don't have a really.
What are you projecting at growth, Nelson, per year?
120.
I'm sorry, yeah.
120.
New growth, 120,000 per year.
Yeah.
Nelson, can I ask you a question on that first column? That's 26. The overlay can't be 120.
Well, it's down here, the HERO Act, 75,000. That's.
Oh, you're putting it in separately?
Well, that's how it was, that's how we had built the budget.
Because we built this year's budget.
Because we didn't know what the vote was gonna be.
Yeah, so I made it a true separate line, and then as you can see in 27, I added those two, and it's the 205. So yes, so I did take that into account. So, like I said, this is a very dynamic analysis. I change any of these numbers, on the right-hand side there, and it's gonna change that bottom line pretty significantly. Like I said, just the North Middlesex school assessment right now is at 3%. I put in 4%. That bottom line deficit is going to immediately be increased by $150,000. So, as we get more information, I can start sort of plugging it in here. But I think I guess the general messaging I want to share is that, unless something dramatic changes, we're going to see pretty significant deficits over the next 5 years. So, yeah, well, I don't know. This is just looking without anything changing. Changes will need to be made in order to get a balanced budget. I don't know what those changes would be. It's probably a combination of many things, but this is just kind of a baseline, assessment of the current, financial.
It gives us a realistic place to start.
Yeah, correct.
I get it a little bit. I'm looking at, and you mentioned snow and ice earlier. This year, the budget is gonna be a lot tighter than it has been in the past. There may not be free cash for snow and ice to cover it. Not to mention the other things we might use free cash for.
Correct.
So that can add to this, these
Absolutely.
numbers right away, because that's something that I haven't seen. There's not the number in there for what we paid.
We don't have any free cash right now, right?
Well,
It's
nothing left.
nothing, yeah.
It's
nothing.
it's right now with the state being certified. So I think in the coming weeks, we will see an actual figure being
For FY
certified.
25, so nothing from before that.
Yeah. So like I said, this is a very dynamic sort of analysis.
Yeah.
You know, but again, I think the general trend is, you know, we're going to be seeing some deficits unless we make some changes.
Yeah, I was gonna say there were some things, I'll send them off to you in an email that we looked at. We looked at the BVA in the last month, in October, and there was some pretty high numbers, especially like the IT budget for a lot further along, like at 50% rather than something closer to 33.
Okay, well,
At this point.
yeah.
So it's kind of like, and that's something we really need to watch this year, because we did cut so many budgets, and there's not, we had 50,000 in the reserve fund last year, we don't have that this year.
Right,
So
it's
there's
down
not,
to 40,000.
yeah, so as an area where we cut back and didn't put in, that's really not what reserve funds for. It's kind of like, so we need to be watching that and adjusting.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yep. So I think, yeah, the next 5 years, you know, and certainly, you know, we're more concentrating on FY 27. As, you know, the budgets comes in, I think we should all be prepared to, you know, probably make some tough choices to get to a balanced budget. You know, override, you know, we can certainly try for another one depending on how it's structured, you know, but that's really up to the board to make that decision. But I think that's kind of always an option on the table. You know, could be any combination, you know, in our toolbox to get to a balanced budget. So, but this is a good baseline to sort of work off of. I'm going to continually update things as, you know, I get more information. But again, this is a pretty good baseline to, you know, you know, it's not a pretty picture in the next 5 years. But I think we kind of all knew that, you know, we can't be using one-time revenue to sort of offset the operating budget, and things are, you know, eventually it catches up with you. Right. And, you know, I think last year we were kind of in that situation, but, you know, we did the trash bag program, which kind of helped things along. But, you know, you know, you're still going to see, you know, some of these substantial deficits, even with those changes that we've made. So,
I have a question.
yes, Melissa.
Yeah, what was your assumption on salaries? Because we're negotiating. Did you do 2%, 4%? Did you?
I didn't get into that kind of minutia. I just assumed the 3% increase in the operating budget.
Okay.
You know, you know, we haven't started negotiations yet with the union, so I don't know how that's going to pan out, but I can easily, you know, increase the operating budget, you know, from 3% to 4%, or, you know, adjust up or down. So
Can you just reiterate for everybody which unions we're negotiating with for FY 27?
It would be clerical, supervisor union, highway water, and the fire department.
And also police.
The police is out of contract.
So all 5 unions are in negotiation will be in negotiation for FY 27, basically.
In FY 26, because we're out of contract, there could be a retro payment.
Right. There's the evergreen clauses, so you have to give them their steps. Then, yeah, what you just said. And then, of course, you've got individual contracts obviously, and personnel policies and procedures. Okay.
Yeah, so again, I haven't really taken, the unions, upcoming union negotiations into account. But I can always adjust my model. But
Yep.
again, it's too premature to be putting something on paper when we haven't even, gone to the bargaining table yet with the unions.
So question, Nelson, you said if the school went up 1%, it would be $150,000. If the overall budget went up 1%, where are we at? That would increase it from 3% to 4%. What's the dollar amount? 1% of 31 million?
No, I would look at the budget, the first line.
Oh,
If
sorry,
you- the
20.
first
Yeah.
line, operating budget, and go 1% of that.
Yeah, 1%
Yeah,
is
there
about
it is. Sorry, I
275,000.
lost the number in the, trying to find it. Okay, so the total operating budget, 28 million, add a percentage. That would be the cost. Okay, I was just looking for a number. Thank you.
That's the rough math, if
Yeah.
just like a rough estimate of what just a 1% bump would equal to. So yeah, about $285,000 is, a 1% bump. So yeah, so that was kind of the analysis that I've been working on, with the input from, again, the town accountant's office, treasurer collector, and the assessor's office. So a lot of moving parts, but I think that's the general financial outlook for the next 5 years. Okay. So I know that was a lot to take in, but we can discuss further offline, and I'm happy to talk about it in more detail.
I know we're kind of closing up the capital, how does that sit? Because did you plan in the capital plan at all in this? Where does that sit?
I'm trying to. No, I haven't. Well,
we have no capital stabilization.
Right.
So no funds there. So the only place that would come from is if we're lucky enough to have enough free cash.
I haven't contemplated adding projects to sort of the debt schedule. I just, whatever is known, and it would be up to the capital committee to, if they're willing to, add to the debt load.
Which we have an appointed person to, maybe next meeting.
Okay, so yeah, I think we need to adjourn both meetings now.
Dawn, do you want to join your joint portion?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous?
6:53 for you, I'll take a motion.
Oh, hold on, I think we need to do two things before we actually.
Adjourn the joint.
No, I'm adjourning the joint.
Oh, okay, got it.
Take a motion to adjourn the joint with finance.
I, Valerie Goodrich, make a motion to adjourn the joint meeting with finance.
Veronica Cal second.
At 6:53.
Sorry.
Okay, roll call vote.
Veronica Cal aye.
Valerie Goodrich, aye.
Laura Schiffer and I. Okay, nothing.
Thank you, you guys.
So I think we'll need to just do two things before we adjourn into executive. 6.5, payroll and bills warrants. Could you make that motion, Howard?
Yep, I, Valerie Goodrich, move that we review and sign payroll and bills payable warrants out of session.
Is there a
Veronica
second?
Cal second.
No discussion, roll call vote.
Veronica Cal aye.
Valerie Goodrich, aye.
Laura Schiffer, aye.
Okay, so and I
I
think,
would also like to say that anything else that has not been addressed, which is 5.3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I guess in 9. I really did want to get 9 done. And 6.1, 6.2, 6.3 to at this point, December 2nd, unless I call another meeting prior to. Do I have a motion? Or a second?
So moved.
Second,
Name?
Valerie Goodrich, so moved.
Veronica Cal, second.
Okay, hearing no discussion, roll call vote.
Veronica Cal, aye.
Valerie Goodrich, aye.
Laura Schiffern, aye. 6.4, our next meeting at this point in time is December 2nd at 6 PM, subject to change. Okay. We will be adjourning to executive session at 7.1, executive session pursuant to open meeting law, chapter 30A, section 21A, 2, to conduct strategy sessions in preparation for negotiations with non-union personnel or contract negotiations with non-union personnel, town administrator. I, Laura Schiffern, make a motion to enter into executive session at 6:56 PM and adjourn from executive session pursuant to open meeting law, chapter 30A, section 21A2, to conduct strategy sessions in preparation for negotiations with non-union personnel and contract negotiations with non-union personnel. Town administrator, do I have a second?
Veronica Cal, second.
Okay, roll call. Roll call vote.
Veronica Cal, aye.
Valerie Goodrich, aye.
Laura Schiffern, aye. At 6:56 PM. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, TCAM.